Barcelona have tied against Inter Milan 3-3 at the Camp Nou. And let's make one thing very clear before we move forward with this video. If Barcelona pull off 2 wins, which will be against Victoria Pleasant and Bayern Munich, if they do that, right, and Inter Milan either loses or ties against both Bayern Munich and also Victoria Pleasant, Barcelona will go through to the next round, going into second place. But here's the thing, we're talking about Inter Milan getting beaten by Victoria Pleasant at their home, right, at Inter Milan's home. If Inter Milan beat Victoria Pleasant and let's say they lose against Bayern Munich, which is way more likely than what we did talk about, then Barcelona and Inter Milan are going to be tied in points. But Inter Milan will be in second place only because Inter Milan have a better head-to-head with FC Barcelona. Inter Milan have a win against Barcelona and Barcelona have a tie against Inter Milan. Yes, head-to-head does go before goal difference. If it was goal difference, Barcelona would probably go through. So those are going to be the probabilities, because I know that there were many questions about Barcelona's current situation in the Champions League. So let's start with talking about this game, and we're going to be talking about the first half and then the second half. And let's talk about the first half first, because look, this was a very even match. In the first half, it was very intense. Inter Milan made their game plan very clear. They wanted to sit deep and counterattack FC Barcelona very quick, and they relied on Lautaro Martinez to basically hold the ball every time someone like Onana made a long pass to Lautaro Martinez, right? That was their counterattack. But Barcelona saw the consistency on what Inter Milan were trying to do. They understood that Inter Milan wanted to play in just one way, and the fact that Barcelona have grew within this game defensively from the first minute to the 45th minute, that is a great sign, and it shows us that Barcelona, they know how to read games. The further we got into this game, the less time it took for Barcelona to regain the possession, because they knew exactly what Inter Milan were going to do. And so they did dispossess the ball from many of the forwards from Inter Milan, and Barcelona had a great defensive game in the first half, not in the second half, but in the first half. We'll talk about the second half in a couple of minutes. So they knew how to shut down Lautaro Martinez, and I also do want to thank Eric Garcia for having such a great game overall, in my opinion, and especially in the first half. He took the responsibility to cover Lautaro Martinez, and he said, okay, if I'm going to be the one taking care of Lautaro Martinez, I'm gonna shut this down, because if I shut this down, everything else does shut down for Inter Milan. And what surprises me the most about how Eric Garcia did play, which he himself, right, was our best defender for Barcelona, what surprises me the most is many would probably have said, okay, if Inter Milan are going to be counterattacking, this is certainly not the game for Eric Garcia. If we're going to be seeing a very physical battle between Lautaro Martinez and Eric Garcia, this is certainly not going to be a game for Eric Garcia. Might as well put in someone like Christensen or Ronald Araujo or Koundé, like in any other game, right? But in this situation, in the game that we were in with Koundé, Ronald Araujo, Christensen all being out, Eric Garcia was stepping up to the plate. Even though this was not the correct environment for Eric Garcia, he was still adapting so well, and this is a sign that Eric Garcia is growing as a center back. So the fact that we were able to like take away the ball and dispossess, Barcelona were gaining the rhythm. We're like, okay, we have the ball now, let's continue to attack, let's continue to generate more chances. And that is why we attacked Inter Milan way better in the first 45 minutes compared to like the full course of the 90 minutes within the first game between Inter Milan and Barcelona, when Barcelona were away. And we saw the midfielders and the forwards of Barcelona always being 2 steps forward and ahead of everybody else. They outworked Inter Milan, and that is what I'm talking about, right? That is how you become a champion of a specific tournament. If you outwork your opponent, you are going to be getting those results. And then you look at how great Barcelona were. Again, in the first 45 minutes, they had a total of 15 shots, 5 were on target, 6 were on target, and we had 4 blocked shots. It shows you that, yes, they were taking a tremendous amount of shots and they really wanted to score. But it was a very nerve-wracking game, because many of us were dying to see that ball go inside the goal. We really wanted Barcelona to score, because we're like, okay, when is Barcelona going to be scoring? We're doing all of this hard work, but is the ball actually going to go in? And that is where the moment did arrive. On the 40th minute, this was a moment, my friends, where I would say this was Xavi's football. Like, that meeting between Rafinha and Xavi Hernandez came into full effect. Like, it literally affected Rafinha on the pitch after they were done discussing on where Rafinha should be playing. And the player that I also do want to thank when it came to Barcelona scoring that first goal on the 40th minute, it is going to be Rafinha. Yes, Dembele did score, but Rafinha did all of the work, because the ball was going to go out. He could have easily said, okay, I'm just going to let this ball go out so I can just throw the ball in. But no, he sprinted to the ball. He was running, bursting, trying to get that ball to continue to go into play. And then he passes it towards Sergio Roberto quickly. Sergio Roberto finds Dembele inside the box. Dembele runs into the open space and Dembele scores the goal. This is exactly what Xavi has been asking from this Barcelona team overall when it came to attacking the opponent, is to arrive in the box, check, right? Dembele did that, and to continue the flow of the play, which is something that Rafinha did. Piqué. And so this was total Xavi football. But now let me introduce to you guys the second half. And before we go into this, I do want to quickly shout out our sponsor for today. So our sponsor for today, it is going to be Top 11. If you guys do not know what Top 11 is a free-to-play football management mobile game, meaning it is available on the App Store, the Play Store, the App Gallery, Microsoft Store, or your web browser. So once you do find that available, you would be able to see and imagine an entire football universe in your pocket where you are in charge of your very own football club. From signing a team of superstars to creating your own stadium, running training, setting up formations, and ultimately leading the squad to winning trophies. Yes, you guys could do that within Top 11. Top 11 2023 is now live with a ton of new features and improvements that came with the new version of the game. So what makes Top 11 so special and why it does stand out, it is because it does carry the 3D immersive experience right at your screen. So it lets you see your tactics come to life in a really exciting and a very immersive way. So this is a game for everybody. There's something for every football fan in Top 11. You can customize your ground, collect jerseys and emblems, and so much more. You can also play with your friends. You can team up. If you guys do want to download Top 11, because again, it is going to be for everybody, whether you have an Android or like an iPhone, or if you do want to just use it on the web browser, there is going to be a link down below that'll take you straight there, and you can just download Top 11 from there. So now let's talk about the second half, because let me tell you, we saw two very different games in the first half and in the second half. In the second half, this is where I did see all of the problems start to go into this Barcelona team. Barcelona lost control. Barcelona lost their composure. They lost their focus. If Barcelona had at the very least their focus on this game probably would have been much smoother. And I'm going to be attacking one player because I have to say it, right? Like, I know that Barcelona as a collective need to play as a team, which is what we did see, but one player really just did it for us. Like, one player literally put the whole game down on us, because if this player did not play, this game probably would have never been nerve-wracking. It would have never been a game where like every action that Inter Milan takes, we're going to be sweating, and we would have never seen a paper-thin back line. We would have never felt the chaos. But no, Gerard Piqué did start in this game, and he played fully all the way into the 90th minute. And because of Piqué, because of what he did, that mistake where he literally let the ball go through him and basically dismantled the defensive shape that they were supposed to be holding against Inter, that is the reason why Inter Milan found that goal, and that is what led towards Inter Milan believing that they could actually win at the Camp Nou. And you never want to do that. You never want to show weaknesses within that back line. Piqué literally lost his focus. He showed weakness. After that, Barcelona were like, we're so confused. We were doing everything correctly. I thought we were going to win. And they second guessed the path that they were going to go to in terms of like their approach against Inter. But Inter like, no, okay, I see you. You have your doubts. I see that there are weaknesses, and we're going to continue to attack you guys because you guys do not know what you guys want to do next. And so it is so crazy to me that one player dictated how this game was going to go, right? Right now, we're in the complete reverse. Before, we saw Barcelona play bad, and Messi single-handedly scores a goal or provides an assist that led towards the opponent putting their heads down. Now we're literally seeing Gerard Piqué single-handedly concede and gives the opponent the confidence and lets them dictate what's going to be happening within this game. And so that is how Inter Milan did score their goal. Piqué made Barcelona lose their shape. He let the ball go through, and that is just a complete beginner mistake. I just cannot believe what I did see. And again, we were in a moment of shock. Like, I can just feel these players being in that moment of shock and just asking, what did we do wrong? But no, it was coming down to just one player. And mistakes like this, and especially in the Champions League, is always going to backfire. Maybe it might not show in La Liga, but in the Champions League, where there are knockout round games, even in the group stages, this does expose you. Why do you think like on the 63rd minute, about like 9 to 10 minutes later, Lautaro Martinez found the second goal for Inter Milan? We saw a very careless pass coming from Sergio Busquets, and unfortunately for Busquets, even though he was playing so well in the Champions League and even in La Liga, again, it's those small mistakes, right? The fact that Busquets made that misplaced pass that led towards Inter Milan, putting that ball into the box, and for Lautaro Martinez to score that goal, it just kills you in the Champions League. And if you assess the whole thing on how Inter Milan scored those first two goals, if you really look at the whole thing, everything went down to Busquets and Gerard Piqué. And this is showing us that yes, Barcelona should no longer have these two players in Barcelona no more and take that step down. These mistakes, again, unfortunately came down to our veterans, Piqué and Sergio Busquets. Xavi needs to figure out a game plan on how he's going to be approaching this season without these two players, and how we're going to be building without these two players in the next season, because what did happen today was just not okay. okay. Like, I know, right? I know that Busquets and Piqué are players that we are going to be remembering forever. Let's respect them, but it's so clear that Barcelona have to move forward and away from these two players. This is why you did see Xavi Hernandez place Frenkie de Jong in the pivot position and took Busquets out. And let me tell you, like, Frenkie played phenomenal in that pivot position. He played so well. He made so many attacks, and that started through him. He made Barcelona blossom. We played so much better in those last 15 to 20 minutes when Busquets was out and Frenkie de Jong was in. The amount of carries he had, the amount of times he had the ability to get away from Inter Milan's pressure, it was so great to see. Why couldn't we see this in the beginning of the game? And so, look, football can be cruel, right? Football can be so cruel, and especially to FC Barcelona and for many fans out there in the world of football. This probably would have never happened if we saw players like Ronald Araujo and Koundé starting with Eric Garcia in that back line. We probably could have even seen Christensen going over Eric Garcia. These mistakes that we did see would have never happened. It could have been 3-1, maybe even 3-2, and come out with the 3 points in the end. But no, football took these two players away, Ronald Araujo and Koundé, away from us in our most important month of this season. And I understand that there is a lot of hate going on with Xavi Hernandez. Let's not like fully blame Xavi Hernandez, because at the end of the day, he did miss his 2 center backs that he really does rely on. And I think that it does make sense. These 2 players really do make a difference in that defensive line, because our back line was so paper thin that everything that was going on with Inter Milan and whatever they were trying to create was literally going through them. But at the same time, I want to be devil's advocate here within this video. He could have just placed Frenkie de Jong in the first minute of this game and replaced Busquets in the very beginning of this game. He could have easily also placed Alejandro Balde for Marcos Alonso and provide that speed, the pace to go up and down the flanks on the left side, because Alonso did not really do much in my opinion. So we fast forward from there, and like, I'm not even going to talk about what Gosen did to FC Barcelona that led towards like Barcelona almost losing the game. But we saw Lewandowski also score goals. I think that he could have scored way more. He did score 2 goals, but again, he could have had about 4 to 5 goals. He had so many opportunities. Geskia made a tremendous and wonderful cross in the box that Lewandowski could have easily put in, but he did not do that. And we know his capabilities. We know what Lewandowski could do, and we really needed his hat-trick, his quadruple goal-scoring match in today's game. And so we saw Dembele deliver. We saw Rafinha being very intense. Lewandowski again scored 2 goals. Ansu Fati also did well. The attacking line did what they had to do, but the defense really just let us down. Besides Eric Garcia did okay. And so the last thing, right, I'm gonna have the audacity to say this: let's not put our heads down. Let's continue to look forward. Let's keep our heads up high. We still have a small chance, a very small chance, that Barcelona could go into the next round. Who knows? What if Inter Milan do lose against Victoria Pleasant? What if they tie against Victoria Pleasant? Then Barcelona do have that chance, as long as they do their own work and we beat Bayern Munich 2-0, maybe 2-1, maybe even 3-2, and we beat Victoria Pleasant. And even if we're out, we can still compete for La Liga, and we're doing so well within La Liga. We can still compete for the Copa del Rey. We can also compete for the Super Cup. And if we win these 3 trophies, by the end of the season, we'll look back and say, wow, we won 3 trophies. We did okay. Now let's move forward from here and let's see how we can win the Champions League. So that is going to be wrapping up today's Barcelona post-match review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.